Well, Happy New Year, my friends. Now, it's not really the new year, but it's still technically a new year. Now, I don't really care when you're coming into this episode. We're just going to kind of like look at it as a freshening of everything. We're going to talk about how you need to be showing up in 2021. But you know what? My guess is it's not going to be a lot different if it's 6 months from now or even 2022. Right? But who knows? Right now, we're at the beginning of 2021, and I want to talk to you about some ways that you need to start showing up for yourself and in your business. So let's go. So I was literally totally planning to insert some sort of like really cool, catchy like music, intro, something there. I don't know. I'm still playing around with how I want to show up in 2021 when it comes to the production of my content. So I got a little confident there and I thought, let's go. And it's going to play some really cool, like short music. Now we're just going to get to it because you know what? One of my themes this year is just ship it. So we're going to make this happen. We're going to make it happen right now. I'm going to get into the content here. I'm not going to overthink the way that this is produced. Although I am going to say, get ready because I love music. And if you tune into any of my live videos on Facebook, YouTube, or inside of my Facebook group, then you know that I love to start out the videos. I'd have a little countdown timer, and I like changing the countdown up with different music every so often. And I love that process. I love that process of finding like the right song to get people kind of like jazzed up for the content. And honestly, I really would like to do the same thing in my podcast. So who knows? I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I don't want to make it any laborious than it needs to be because I need to get these things out to you guys, right? I want to get more consistent with providing these episodes to y'all. So if you are new around here, I guess I should just let you know, I love helping people who I call do-it-yourself marketers, DIY marketers. And you are doing it yourself. You're getting in there. You're knee deep in it all. You're trying to figure out how to do your own graphics. You're figuring out how to create, you're doing it yourself. You know what I mean? And my motto is we got to be scrappy, but scrappy doesn't have to be crappy. And so I like to help people find the plug and play ways, the simpler ways to create content for their business. And there's a lot of really great experts out there. There's a lot of amazing ways that we can create content like videos and podcasts and graphics and all the things. And there's you can go do some research and you can find some really cool tools, expensive software that'll do amazing things. But what I have found in my experience for the last 6 years doing this myself is there's usually an app that somebody has made that makes it a lot easier, like way easier. And so I like to pride myself on finding those tricks, those hacks, and duct taping it all together and making it work so that we can show up and get ourselves out there. Because if we waste all this time trying to perfect everything or trying to, learn a new program so that we can create the fanciest thing ever, well, all that time is wasted when we could just be getting out there and connecting with people. And I'm really passionate about that. I have 100% suffered in this. I have dealt with this myself, perfectionism and all the things. And I do not want you doing that. I don't want anyone doing that. And so I have really just all last year, I actually just really embraced that concept of we can be scrappy, but it doesn't have to be crappy. And I want to help you not make it crappy. And that's what I do. And I love live video. That is like my jam. I love figuring out all of the super cool ways that we can use live video, but also make really professional live streams, but without having to learn the super hard stuff, like the complex software, without spending a fortune on equipment and tech that's freaking complicated anyway, and you're probably never going to learn how to use it correctly. So that's what I pride myself on right now. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a blast. And I finished up the year with just a lot of momentum because last year I really just kind of like leaned into that space and I just love it. And so I also have this podcast, but I gotta say my main thing is showing up on video, but that's enough about me for now. Okay. That's enough about me. Right now, what I want to do is I want to give you some strategies. These strategies, I have 100% used every single one of these in my own business. And when I do them and do more of these things, I get results. And the results can be more business. The results can be more exposure. The results could be more collaborations with others that help me get more exposure. The results could be just joy in my business, quite frankly, from the conversations and the connections I get to make with all of you. So I also know that it's absolutely critical that we show up in our business. And we hear that a lot. For the last like 2 or 3 years, that's kind of been like a fad, a trend in what the marketers are telling us we need to do. And it's true, but at the same time, what does that mean? How can you show up? And so today I want to talk to you about some ways that I want to encourage you to show up this year, even if you're freaking scared, because a lot of these you've probably heard you should do. Some of them may be new tips and new strategies to you. Maybe some of these things are things you used to do and you just need this like kick in the pants to like get after it again. But, all of these are 100% doable, but you might have to get over yourself and get rid of some fear, because we all know putting yourself out there can be a little scary. All right, let's start with the first tip that I have for you. Okay, so this is something I sort of get a little bit passionate about. So I'm going to warn you right now. I have a whole entire episode on this, actually. And I talk about this a lot. I bring it up a lot when I'm doing live videos. And okay, you got to have a good profile picture on your social media platforms. And that's anywhere you have a profile picture, you got to have a good profile picture. And here's what that profile picture needs to be of. You. It needs to be of you and your face. Not like you zoomed out, like doing something, your face. Because when we're on these platforms, especially when we're on our phones, you get that little thumbnail that's in your feed when somebody comments. All you see is this tiny little thumbnail. If it's a zoomed out picture of you and your body doing something, I can't see your face. I can't connect with you. And social media is all about connection. It needs to be a way where people can connect with you, whether they discover you in a comment on somebody else's post, or whether you're commenting on their post, or whether you're publishing something and they're interacting with your content. Your face needs to be in your profile picture. And I'm really passionate that it's not like of your kids or your dog or your cute cat or your car or your business logo. It needs to be you, okay? Because literally, when I interact with, there are people I see all the time and I interact with them and I'm like, I can't, and then all of a sudden I'll see them on a video or they'll show up to a Zoom meeting and I'm like, holy crap, this is the first time I've ever seen your face. And it's jarring, to be honest with you, when that happens. But at the same time, I just don't feel connected to them as much as I could be if I can look into their eyes in a still photo when I'm reading their comment or when I'm reading their message to me. And so I am really, really, really passionate about profile pictures because I do think it's critical and it's important, especially this day and age when we're not really in person with each other a lot. And if you want to build a business that's scalable and virtual and can reach the masses, then you're going to have to understand that the digital space is different. You got to be in it. And so check out episode 16 of this podcast where I give you 11 tips to get to a better profile picture. Huge tips. These are great tips. This is actually the second most downloaded episode of my entire podcast. And what that means is it's got the second most listens in this entire podcast. It's a very popular episode and it's a good one. I mean, I get messages all the time. People like, I never thought about that. Thank you so much for opening my eyes to that. I just changed my profile picture. So go listen to episode 16 if you need a little, some tips, 11 tips to get to that better profile picture so you can have better connections in your business. And I'm just so passionate about this. Okay, I'm actually going to jump off of that one before I go down another tangent. Okay, so the next tip I've got for you, I want, same kind of thing here, pictures, more images of you. I want more images of yourself in your content. Now, this goes for your personal profiles and it goes for any social media profiles. It goes for your website. It goes for your emails maybe, just depends on, the formats of your emails. I want images of you. And again, because I want to get to know you. I want to see you. Because when people do business with people, and this is critical and so important when we are understanding, especially as we're doing business online and everything's virtual and you're trying to connect with people, they need to be able to see who you are. And your profile picture, great start, but we need to see you more, right? So one of the things that's always interesting to me is when I get, I'll be in some groups and I interact enough in something online and, I go back and forth with somebody who's maybe in a community with me and I get a friend request from them, or maybe they're like awesome and their answers are awesome. And I'm like, who is this chick? So I want to go check them out. And you've done this too. Everybody does this. This is the process, right? We all kind of check each other out online. And sometimes I literally cannot find a freaking picture of the person. I literally am like, oh, okay, I see a lot of family photos, a lot of pictures of kids, a lot of pictures with groups, but I don't know which person's in here. So then I literally have to look at like 20 pictures and find the consistent face to just try to figure out if that's the person. And that is annoying to me. Like I can't connect with you. I can't see you. And I got to say this thing because and it may not be the reason, and there's no judgment here, but it makes you look insecure when there's no images of yourself. You know, it just makes you look not like you're not confident. And, you know, believe me, I have plenty of pictures that I absolutely hate of myself. And I am like, you know, I'm pretty careful. Like, you know, when my boyfriend takes a picture and he's like going to post it or something, like when we're on the golf course, I'm like, let me see that first. You know, I mean, we all care, right? I'm one of those people too, but I want to see, I just want you to do a quick audit of your content everywhere, including your personal profile. Are there enough images of you? You know, and you may be like, well, I'm not that kind of business, Melanie. I have a boutique or I have a shop. You know, that's okay, great. But I still want to know who the shop owner is because my favorite experience is shopping, buying products or going to restaurants or, going in anything is the people I get to interact with who help me. I love it when I walk into a restaurant and I get my favorite server or my favorite bartender that I have built a relationship with. Yeah, the food is good, the drinks are good, but I like the people in the restaurant the best. When I go to my favorite stores, I like to see the same faces. I like to get to know the people it makes me want to go back when I can have a relationship with a person. Right. And it goes back to that same thing with the profile picture, images of you. It's the same thing. So regardless of the kind of business you have, pictures of you, your staff, your people, the people in your business are so important. And so this year, I want you to really focus on how can you incorporate more images of yourself in your content. And you're like, Melanie, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Things are different now. I can't hire a photographer. Or maybe you're like, I don't have a budget for a photographer. Screw that. I'm not talking about a big photo shoot stuff. You can get a cheap little tripod, get your phone, put it on there, set the timer, and get some pictures of yourself. Yeah, it feels really weird and it can feel a little uncomfortable because, you're trying to create these photo shoot style pictures to use in your business. Yeah, but it is what you got to do. So do it, right? I have taken tons of pictures of myself because I'm not able to work with a photographer. Last year, it was like, okay, great. And budget and all the other things. And I'm like, I need a few pictures for this promo I'm doing, or I need a few pictures because I'm fresh out. So I will literally put my phone on a tripod and face the patio window or face a window or turn on the ring light. And I set the timer and I take pictures of myself. Seriously. Portrait mode, take pictures of yourself. So there's no excuse why you can't have images of yourself in your content. It's huge. It's big. So show up, get more pictures out there of you. Okay. All right. The next thing, it's in the same theme. I need you showing up in video. I need you doing more live video. So maybe you started doing live video. Maybe you've dabbled in live video before, but have you really been super consistent with it? I want you to be embracing this concept of live video. Now, live video shows up in many forms. You could be creating some, Instagram lives. You could go live on Facebook. You can go live on YouTube if you have a YouTube channel. You can even go live on LinkedIn. You have to apply. As of right now, you have to apply and get approved. And I've not even gotten approved, but there's a lot of people I know that have. So there's a lot of ways you can show up on live video. Now, here's another way that live video applies. When you have a virtual meeting with your colleagues or clients or committees or whatever, turn your camera on. Don't show up and just have your audio on like on a Zoom meeting or a virtual meeting. Turn on the camera. Even if nobody else has the camera on, I want you showing up because that's also live video. That's another version. And if you're terrified to go live on your business page and talk about your business live on video, then why don't you start with some baby steps? And some baby steps are create some Instagram stories, create some Facebook stories. Now, these aren't live, but you're going to get used to seeing yourself on camera in a casual and raw way. And then I want you to do, as I just said, I want you to start turning that camera on when you're on virtual meetings. Okay. And understand that these are great ways for you to start getting used to the concept of you being on camera and seeing yourself on camera. but I want you to go on live this year. And if you've dabbled in it before, great. I want you doing it more this year. You will get results. You will see a difference in your business. You will make better connections with your audience. So check that out. I've got plenty of podcast episodes about live videos, so you can just go back and find them. And I will link to a couple of those in the comments or in the show notes here for sure. And I'll also share with you, I've got a resource that a lot of people tell me, okay, I can go live, but I don't know what to talk about. Okay, great. I have 50 ideas for you. So I'm going to link to 50 ideas that will get you started with going live. I mean, if you can't use this list of 50 ideas, then send me a DM and let's have a conversation. I'll help you out. Okay, live video. The next way I want you to show up this year and start thinking about showing up is I want you to use audio in your direct messages and in your text messages. Okay, so there is almost every social platform now will allow you to click on a little microphone icon. And instead of typing a response, you can actually send them an audio message. Now, I know with Facebook and I think Instagram as well, I don't remember about LinkedIn, it'll stop you after a minute. And so a lot of times I have to send people multiple audio messages. So I'll send them I'm explaining something to them. So I will record and it gets to that minute and I stop and then I record again and send the next one and I just keep going. And I got to tell you, I can't tell you how many times when somebody DMs me and they ask me a question or they give me feedback about, something I have done in my business and I respond with an audio message. Half the time people are like, holy crap, I didn't know you could do that. And the other times they're just like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for taking the, do you guys want to know something? They say, thank you for taking the time to send me an audio message. And I'm like, girl, that was way easier than typing it out. So for me, it's just easier, but they can hear my voice. Think about how many times you've read somebody's text or read an email or read something and you maybe read it wrong or misread it, or maybe somebody's done that to you. They took it out of context. But if they can hear your voice and hear your tone of voice, whether you're being sarcastic, whether you're being funny, whether you're being, harsh or soft or whatever, they can hear you. It's so much it just is such a better connection. And especially if you're telling somebody something like you're celebrating something with them or you want to laugh at what they said, record yourself laughing. Be genuine, but let them hear you laugh. You will literally make somebody's day. And you can do this in text messages as well. So you can actually send someone an audio recording in a text message too. So I want you using audio. Okay. Now, the other thing you might want to consider, there's a couple apps out there that you can communicate with people. Telegram, Voxer. We got this new thing called Clubhouse in the now, the social media app. It's in beta form. I'm on there. I am absolutely still digesting it. 100%, it's all audio, and I will absolutely be doing a live video, a podcast or something and talking about that when I'm ready. But stay tuned for that. But use audio. You will connect with people so much better. And then the other thing I want you to think about too, that kind of is similar when I'm talking about responses, is emails. So I want you to use video in emails. So I have been doing this for a couple years now. I actually use an application called Dubb, D-U-B-B. Now there's others out there, Bonjourno, BombBomb. These are really popular ones. You can even use Loom, L-O-O-M, and just record a video and send the link. There's lots of ways you can do this. You can even record a video on your phone and just email the file, although it's going to be a pretty big file. But the concept is, I don't love to type emails or write emails, but I like to talk to people. And so instead of sending a really long multi-paragraph email, I'll just open up Dubb and record myself on screen and tell my audience what's going on, how it's going. And if you're on my email list, you know exactly what I'm talking about because you get these from me. And I can show up on screen for them. And then they can click through and do other things. But one of the things I love to do is if I see something, somebody needs help, or maybe somebody's going through a hard time, I see something, I will actually record a video for them and I will email it to them. And when you use an application like Dubb or Bonjourno or the others, you can record the video and then embed the link in your email, and then they just click it. And then there's nothing to download. There's nothing for you to download and upload. It all processes in the cloud, and you send them a link and they feel like you just sat down, wrote them a handwritten note, sent them flowers, and showed up on their doorstep and gave them warm baked chocolate chip cookies. That is literally how it feels when people get one of these personalized emails from you. And people are starving for connection right now. They're starving for people to show up for them. And I love doing this. And one of my favorite things I get to do that I love to do is I'll send an email out to my email list and I'll just say, how's it going? What are you struggling with? What's new in your world? I want you to respond and tell me, and I will send you a personalized video back. And I love doing this. And whenever somebody does it and they send me the email and I send them the video back, I can always tell in their response, like just how much it meant to them. But the thing that happened last year, that I've done this twice now, and I just did this a couple months ago. And the thing that happened this time that hasn't happened before is almost everybody who did this sent me a video back. It was awesome. Like, it was so incredible. There were a couple emails where we went back and forth like 2 or 3 times in videos. And I feel so much more connected to them, and I know more about them. There's one woman, her name is Michaela, and shout out to you, Michaela, if you're listening, but she is in my Facebook group and she's always great. She asks questions on the lives, and she emailed me and, sent me an email, a video email, or maybe an email about my program. And I emailed her back and I did the video, and I actually pronounced her name Michaela because it's spelled very similar. I think there are plenty of women that spell their name the same way and they spell it Michaela, or they say it Michaela. So I said Michaela, but when she sent me the video back, she said that her name was Michaela. And I was like, oh, okay. But now I know her name's Michaela. I feel so much more connected to her because we had these interactions back and forth over video. And now whenever she shows up in the comments for my videos, I know who she is. And I actually will say, oh, Michaela's asking blah, 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 blah. Whereas if I'd never done this video interaction, I would have continued to say her name wrong. And, I'm sure her name is pronounced incorrectly all the time, but think about how it makes her feel now that I know how to pronounce her name. And it was all because of these video emails we sent back and forth. And, I feel more connected to her as somebody in my audience as well. And so I just want you to know, this is a powerful thing that you can do. I'm all about live video and, all these other things, but this video in your email is an amazing way to connect with people. So on the same note, the next way I want you to think about showing up is using video to answer questions. So I have a Facebook community, DIY Marketing with Melanie. Shout out to my community members. If you're not in there, feel free to join us. But a lot of times people will ask questions, and sometimes the answer I need to give them is a little bit more complicated than just typing a response, or I need to show them something. And so I will use the exact same application, Dub, and I will literally record a video of myself explaining something, or I'll do a screen share and I'll literally show them how to do something in an app. And then Dub gives me a link, and I just go back to that comment and I say, hey, I actually recorded a personal video for you to answer your question. And I link it, I paste a link, and then they click it. And then every time they're always like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That was super helpful. So this is another way, the same type of application. And these other apps I mentioned, they do the same thing. You can create a video, though it'll give you a link, and you can paste the link. Snagit is another popular tool on Macs. So there are just so many ways that you can do these little recorded videos, and then it will give you a link, and you can use that link to respond to comments and respond to emails. And so show up in video, not only live, but also in your emails and as you answer questions. All right. So I've got one last way that I want you to show up this year. And this one might require just a little more strategy on your part and a lot more I guess I'll just say strategy. You're going to have to be a little strategic about it. I want you to show up in somebody else's content. That means I want you to be a guest, okay? Whether it be a guest on somebody's podcast, a guest in somebody's live show, a guest in somebody's program by creating a bonus for them. I want you to try to be a guest this year. Show up in somebody else's content. So I've always felt like whenever I show up in somebody else's content that I get really great results. I always have new people join my community. I get, new people that subscribe to my email list. I just get new people in my world because I've gained exposure to this other person's audience. And it's also fun to collaborate with other people And I always learn something every time I do it. I just learn something not only about myself and the experience, but I also just learn something like the way they do their scheduling, the way that they send me information about their show, or the way they request information. So it helps me grow as an entrepreneur. But the biggest thing that happens here is when you show up in somebody else's content, it stretches you. I will tell you, showing up in your own content, while it's hard and it's scary, showing up in somebody else's content as a guest is even scarier and a little harder, because you are like, whoa, I really got to show up. I do not want to let this person down. These people don't know me. That whole feeling of judgment and all that, it is even harder. So you're going to really stretch these muscles here, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to become. And when you're a guest in somebody else's show, you're stronger in your own stuff. It just builds these muscles that we all have to build. But the biggest thing is you're going to see results. You are going to see new people come into your world. In the latter part of last year, 2020, I really felt like 2020 was my year of just like honing in. And as I mentioned, I really just honed into the live video space and, the live video applications that help us create great videos, and designing and creating really cool things for live videos that are just fun and they're not as hard as people think, and teaching people how to do it. And I did a boot camp last year. So I taught people how to, really up the game with live video. And right now, we're actually in the middle of my next round of boot campers. They are literally in the middle of the boot camp right now, and they're all doing awesome. Shout out to all my boot campers. But I really just honed into the space. And what happened as a result was people started to understand and started to associate this concept with me: live video, being scrappy, applications that help you, create better live videos, better graphics for your live videos, et cetera, et cetera. And as a result, people started saying, hey, will you come talk about live video on my podcast? Or, hey, will you come show my audience how you created that countdown timer for your live video? Or, how did you do that? Will you please come talk to my people about this? And the latter part of the year, I had all these guest, kind of like random pop-up guest appearances. They started showing up. And I knew this would work. I knew it would be great, because I've been a guest on shows before. My two very dear business besties, Heather Sager and Crystal Profit, I've been on their shows, and they've been on my show before. And when I went on their shows, I got new people in my world. I had new people join the group. I had new people join my email list, and it was a blast. It was super fun. And I knew it would be great, but this happened again in the latter part of 2020, and it's been happening ever since. I have like 6 guest appearances lined up for the next 6 weeks. Like, it's crazy. I literally am like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy, and it's super fun. And it's all me talking about live video. I have I have 3 bonuses I'm going to be offering for other people for their programs. I'm going to be a guest on some shows coming up. I was just a guest on StreamYard show. I'm actually I have more than 6. I just realized I'm going to be a guest on StreamYard show again. I mean, it's crazy. It's like you get this momentum, but here's what happens. You're a guest, you get more people in your world, but here's the other thing happens. People see you as a guest, and then they're like, ooh, I want her on my show. And that's what I'm experiencing right now, is that I've been showing up in other people's content, and then other people are saying, fantastic, I saw you on Live Streaming Pros with Luria Petrucci. Now, you want to come talk on our show? And I'm almost 99% sure that's why StreamYard asked me to talk on their show, because they saw me on Luria's show, who's one of my mentors in live video. And literally, this is like a snowball effect that can happen for you. And so I want you showing up. Now, this all goes back to everything I started with. You're not going to get guest appearances if you don't have a good profile picture. If a profile picture is of your dog and people can't see you, they're not going to ask you to come be on their show. If they can't figure out who you are and what your personality type is because they can't see any images of you in your content, why would they want you on their video? Why would they want you on their podcast if you can't even show up in your own content? If you show up on live video in your own content, then they're going to know that you can show up in their content. Let me tell you something. People, you have gifts to share in this world. But if you're hiding behind other things, they're not going to know. And so while they may talk to you on the phone, if you happen to get them on the phone and they're like, wow, this chick is amazing. She has so much knowledge. But if they can't see you or see your stuff, they're not going to be reassured that you're going to be able to show up in their content. And the last thing anybody wants is to bring someone onto their stage, quote unquote, and you're not dressed for the part, or you're not able to talk, or you're so nervous you can't handle it. And yes, it's scary and there might be flubs, but if you can't even show up in your own content, how can you show up in somebody else's? You know what I mean? And so I want you communicating with these people. I want when somebody reaches out to you and says, hey, will you do this? Or hey, do you do that? Respond with an audio in the DM, not a text response. Show them that you're willing to step outside the normal and that you can use your voice and you can use your face. So use video. So let's recap, because it all comes down to, I want you to get more guest appearances, and you need to have a good profile picture. There needs to be images of you in your social media content as well as your website content, so that we can get a good look and feel for your personality to see if you're a good fit for my audience. It's not so I can judge you. It's just so I can see if you're a good fit for my audience. I want you showing up on live video, because if you show up on live video, then I'm pretty confident you can show up in a podcast, and I'm sure as hell confident that you can show up in my live video. I want you using audio and video in your DMs and your emails to respond to comments, because these are just extra ways that you are going to stand out in this busy online world. You're going to be remembered because, hey, you didn't just type a response. He heard your voice when you responded to his inquiry, right? And all of this is going to help you be a guest in people's content. And that being that guest in people's content is going to stretch your muscles so that you're better in your own content, but it's also going to give you more exposure and more practice so that you can continue to go further and further and further and get more people in your list, get more people in your programs, so that you can make a bigger difference in this world. The more people, you can impact more people this way. So that's what it's all about. I want you showing up this year. And if it scares the hell out of you, guess what? You are in really good company, because it scares everybody. But the more you do it, the less scary it gets. And then you can up your game. You can walk into bigger opportunities. You can walk into more complex, more professional, higher end versions of the things I described. But you got to get going, and you got to get going now. So this year is the year you're going to show up. You're going to show up in these ways. These are easy. Click record on the microphone and talk into the microphone and send someone an audio DM today. Today, do it today. And I want you to let me know you did this so I can shout you out. So take a screenshot of your audio recording, take a screenshot of this podcast episode. I don't care. Go to Instagram, post it. Tag me at Melanie Diam and let me know you started taking action and you're showing up in 2021. I want to know when you do click go live for the first time, or you are going to say, I sent that person an audio DM asking to be on their show. I changed my profile picture. I want to know so I can shout you out and cheer you on. So do me a favor. Do it. Like, first step is do it and then tell me you did it. And the best way to tell me you did it is to go and tag me in a story, tag me in a picture. I don't care. Send me a DM. I don't care. Let me know you did it. You took action, and shout this out so I can shout you out. All right, my friends, passionate topic, because it works. Sitting on your ass and not showing up is not going to work. It isn't. I've done it. I've hem-hauled. I've been distracted. I've given myself all the excuses. I've not admitted to myself that I was scared. I have done all the things. I have taken breaks. I've lost momentum, but I've also gained momentum and maintained momentum. And I know what it's like to not show up. And I know what it's like when you do show up. I know the difference. And I want you to show up, because I don't want you to get stuck anymore. So let's go, and let's go right now. Let me know what you're doing. Let's rock it.